the Pacific Northwest.
Ugh.
Tough times.
Yep.
Well, we'll start with the Huskies, honestly.
Ha!
Not really that much to talk about. It's pretty much exactly what we thought.
Yeah, I think the only headline was the fact that Devin Williams started.
Did start. That was huge.
Which I think is big. So, he had a terrible game.
He
17 for 20, 200 yards is not bad, but it's like...
Well, that's not bad if he could run. But he had 22 carries for 17
yards. And I think that's the coach. I think that's Fish just wanting to run the ball because there was nothing open there.
He
Even
could
Coleman,
not move.
The offense, it was so funny because Softy, who's an ESPN, whatever, huge Husky man, he's like, redo the whole offensive line. I'm like, Softy, you literally lost 5 starters. That was, or like, them and Michigan were the 2 best offensive lines last year. So, like, no duh, your offensive line's not going to be very good. Oregon, and they were like, we're going to go down and we're going to beat them. I think there could be an upset. I'm like, this is the best Oregon team we've seen since, like, Marcus Mariota.
Well, especially, I mean, not with having a new quarterback. I mean, he's played throughout the year.
But even if you did start Rodgers.
Yeah. No, I'm not even saying
this
that.
Team, they're still losing by 20.
No, it's the same score.
100%.
It's not changing.
And then I thought it was interesting. We obviously saw Dante Moore down the stretch for Oregon. He was a freshman last year at UCLA. He was pretty good, transferred out because of the whole shuffle and new coaches and everything. So he kind of got his first look. He does get to hold his redshirt year or whatever for this year. I think he was technically injured, but he'll probably be Dylan Gabriel's replacement next year. So it'll be interesting. But
is Gabriel draft eligible?
I think he is a senior no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a senior. Because I know he played a couple years at Oklahoma, and I think this is his second. UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon.
Oh, he's been around.
I think he's a 6th year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's older. He's much more like a
Onyx.
Yes. So I don't know his exact age, but I know that he another Hawaiian product, so he'll be very good.
Cool.
But yeah, obviously I think the offensive line for UW got dominated. Defensive for Oregon was just better. I think Oregon's just a better team. I think they have a better coach. I think they just have better everything. Yeah. Sorry about it. Cry about it, Huskies. You guys just aren't very good this year. You guys were solid last year because you had Michael Penix.
The only thing they did is they did win the time of possession battle, which is weird. But
it is weird.
Literally, other than that, they got walled. Everything was destroyed. It wasn't even close.
No, and it wasn't. It wasn't even a very good game. I think like the first half of the first quarter was like
fine.
We were watching. I was watching like 7-3 at the end of the first quarter, and then the second quarter 21-11. Yeah, it was a blowout after that.
It was rough. So yeah, not a lot to talk about because it just wasn't really a good game.
No,
but it's kind of what we expected, honestly. Yeah. But the next game is not what we expected.
No,
out of the Cougs at all.
It's. So this is, and I'm not trying to defend the Cougs. The one thing I will give, and this is how I try to look at teams, because I give praise to Wyoming. They have not been very good this year, but almost every game after their first win, which was week 5, has been good.
They've been in it.
So Arizona State, they got blown out. Idaho, they lost by 4, and Idaho almost beat Oregon. So Idaho, I don't know what their record is, but Idaho's a good team. BYU, they lost by 20. North Texas, they got smoked, 44-17. Yeah. Air Force, they won 31-19. And then San Diego State lost by 3. San Jose lost by 10. We all know San Jose is a solid team. I think they just...
Well, those last two had some competition with the Cougs.
Exactly. So. And San Jose State, I believe, just beat UCLA.
Okay.
So, they're there. Utah State, they lost by 2. New Mexico, they beat by 4. Colorado, they lost by 14. Boise State, they only lost by 4.
That's crazy.
So I'm not going to tell you that the Cougs should not have won. The Cougs should have won this game comfortably. Yeah. They're a much better team. But Wyoming has been that kind of I don't want to say maybe a pesty team that's been we're going to stay in it.
Yeah,
the
still
Cougs,
right there.
The Cougs just played awful. And I don't know if that was because it was senior night or they were the top 12 is gone. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to take a bowl game and run with it.
Yeah, everyone was flat.
Mateer wasn't there. Parker wasn't there. The wide receiver. We only threw to 5 wide receivers, which is usually we have at least 9 on the stat sheet. We just weren't good defensively. We just weren't good. It wasn't like Saboda, their quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Evan. It wasn't like he was good. We didn't give up a lot of runs. The game was just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
There was total yards 342 to Wyoming, which is solid. 285 for the Cougs, so basically 300. Passing 182 to us, 200 to them. Rushing 103 to us, 136 to them.
They're just
It
wasn't much offense.
No, it was just kind of boring. We were 0 for 2 on 4th down, which is not like us. 7 penalties, which killed us down the stretch. The interesting thing I read on Twitter was Wyoming last week were driving to win the game against Boise State, and I don't know how they lost. I don't know if they threw a pick or I don't know how it ended. They ran the exact same plays as they did against the Cougs, and we couldn't pick it up. Now, as a coaching staff,
that's frustrating.
I'm not saying like you have to. Well, but as a coaching staff, you're not going to memorize their playbook, but you also are going to be like, okay, they almost just beat. They almost just beat Boise State. Why? How? This is what they did. This is what Boise State did. We have to adjust. And we don't. Like that's the Cougs, and like I told you kind of before, we are a stepping stone program, and I know that, and that's fine. It's frustrating because I know we can be better than that. I think there's 3 things you take away from this game. 1, we did fire our defensive coordinator and linebackers coach too late, but whatever. He's gone. You are going to lose your offensive coordinator. It looks like Oklahoma's in negotiation with him. Doesn't surprise me. He's been whatever. We have like the 7th best offense in all of college football or whatever. Duh. And then I think it means Mateer leaves, which sucks because Mateer's obviously, like we talked about before, I don't think he's the Heisman candidate, but he needs to be in like the conversation of a top 10.
Just with how successful he's been this year.
3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and then he broke the record for the Cougs.
I think it's 860. It was 866 or 766.
I don't even know if it doesn't show it on the main thing on ESPN, but he has rushing career this year 826. Okay. 826 with 15 touchdowns out of a quarterback, people.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He's going to be really good. He's going to probably leave, which sucks because it would be nice that if he stayed loyal. Loyalty doesn't exist in sports anymore, and that's
not really.
But I know you probably don't know. So there used to be a show on KJR called Jim and Puck, and they're Cougs, and I loved them because they were Cougs. So they gave us an outlet for like Coug fans because I feel like everything here is softy, UW, Seahawks. And they gave us an outlet. And he was on, I think it was on TikTok, or he was like, everyone needs to relax. You know, we started off 7-1. We ended at 8-4. That sucks. But like, this is a successful year for the Cougs. We obviously, don't forget we beat the Huskies. Like that, winning the Apple Cup, and we might be keeping the Apple Cup forever. Like we might not ever give it back, which I think is way better. Petty, way better. This is a very successful year for the Cougars.
Yeah.
I think people need to still remember that, like, yes, could we probably have gone, 11-1 and maybe had a shot? Yes. But if you would have walked into the top 12 as a 12 seed and walked into Ohio State, do you honestly think we can beat Ohio State? Right now we're supposed to go either play Clemson or I think Illinois. And I'm like, dog, if Mateer's not playing, we're screwed.
Yeah. And
so I look at it and I'm just like, it sucks. I'm not defending them. They played awful. We did not deserve to win this game. And I think the biggest thing that Dicker needs to look at before he looks at himself in the mirror is he needs to find a defensive and offensive coordinator that are veterans.
Yeah.
He's still only 41. People forget that Jake Dicker got hired as a defensive coordinator. Nick Rolovich had his whole scenario with whatever it was, the COVID issue. He got fired. Dicker got thrown into the fire. He won an Apple Cup, got hired full-time. He needs some people around him to teach him how to coach football. And I think he can be a really, really good coach. I'm surprised he's still here.
Yeah.
He also has just, sailed us through the craziness of the realignment that just happened to us in Oregon State. And Oregon State lost their coach. They lost their quarterback. They lost everything. We kept everything together. So you have to give him credit. But
yeah, it's still a successful season. 8-4, right?
8-4, 5-1 at home. It was a great year for us.
It sucks the way it ended. That's the problem.
My dad said if you flipped it and we started 0-4 and then won 8 in a row, it'd be so fun.
Everyone,
Jake Digger's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But this is the case that you get. I think the other frustrating thing is, it was funny. I was watching. We were flipping back and forth from this game to the UW game. They were both on the same time. And my girlfriend goes, why don't people go to the games at Wazoo and Pullman, but everyone's at the Oregon game? And my dad goes, well, because Oregon's good.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's all it is. There's nothing in Eugene. Then Eugene there's not much going on there either. Pullman has got nothing going on either. Like, there's not a lot either. But when the Cougs had Gardner Minshew and we had, and obviously game day being there, but we had Gardner Minshew and we had I think we had 10 wins that year. Martin Stadium was sold out. It only fits 35,000 people. It's not a big stadium. When Oregon sucked, when UW sucked 4 or 5 years ago, the stadium you could walk in for free. That's just how it goes. But it's like you can't expect the Cougs to sell out every game when you come back home on senior night, and I get it, it's senior night. But we also just came off of back-to-back losses to New Mexico and who was the other one that we just lost to? I can't even remember because I'm trying to forget it. It was New Mexico and it wasn't San Diego State. We beat San Diego State, then lost to Oregon State.
Yeah.
We lost to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating, like you said, how it ended? Yes. Do I still think it's a successful year and I'm happy for the Cougs? Yes, 100%. We're going to a bowl game. Hopefully we can win it. That'd be fun. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But we ended the season terribly, and I'm not going to discredit that.
Yeah, it was just a tough way to end, especially with the offense playing really well the past 2 games and the defense losing the game.
Yeah, the defense has been so bad.
The offense lost this game necessarily, but they just did not play well enough.
Well, and I think it's hard because if the offense plays half of what they normally have done all year, we put up 30 points, and for some reason the offense just. Oh, and credit to Wyoming. Wyoming scouted us and did a good job. Dickard needs to also make sure he can learn to adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
But anyway, frustrating, but it's okay. Huskies lost, and we beat them this year, so I'm happy.
There we go.
Thanks for listening to the Kind of Athletic podcast. Please like and subscribe to all our social media platforms and make sure to come back to hear more from the Kind of Athletic podcast.